Hi, I'm Rivka.
Hi, I'm Roby,
and this is our testimony.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
I'm also 22.
What was your idea of a Christian life prior to First Love?
So my idea of a Christian life would have been just going to church on a Sunday and not doing anything extra out of that. No praying at home, no quiet times, no fasting. So that would have been just going on a Sunday to sit in the congregation and that's it.
Yeah, basically. Honestly, I practically thought it was like a retirement plan.
Yeah.
It was really like a boring thing. Like, honestly, I wasn't really that interested into it. And I just figured that it was something that I had to do eventually because I didn't want to get hell.
What was your life like before you really gave your life to Christ?
It was quite interesting, crazy and wild, I would say. And it just consisted of a lot of useless activity that we kind of just got up to no good.
Yeah, I think for me, I had an experience where whenever I didn't have work the next day, I would make sure that day that I had alcohol at home. So I'd drink through the night, in the AMs, and then because I didn't have work the next day, so I'd always plan my drinking days.
Yeah, honestly, like I think most of our time we kind of just spent it either hanging out, doing just the most useless things, or just like going out, sneaking out. Most of the times, every time we ever went out, we actually had to sneak out because obviously we had parents that were not going to allow us to go out nighttime, whatever it is. So we used to make up friends' birthdays and like just, you know, go out. And even if it meant like we were halfway across the country, it didn't really matter. But yeah, we kind of just made sure that we always had fun and didn't really care about consequences or anything. Me and Roby actually used to have like drinking Tuesdays, and it was like every single Tuesday we would literally drink. Like
matter what happened, what was going on that day, we're drinking on a Tuesday.
Yeah, and it was like really bad. Like, and it got to the extent like at first like you're able to like handle like a bit of liquor, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then as time goes on, like you end up consuming so much more than like you actually need to, and it's just like it was really bad.
You got to a point where like wine would be our chaser.
First, I guess it kind of just became mostly just like alcohol things, and then obviously led to, you know, going out a lot, just doing unnecessary things like hooking up with a lot of people, just no reason whatsoever, and it just became like a normal like behavior, whether we wanted to do it or not. It was just like kind of a part of the vibe, and it was just like it's very hard to stop a vibe that has already started. And yeah, it just accumulated a lot.
Just moving forward from it being something that was like enjoyable, like we used to have fun doing it, like, you know, drinking was like, it wasn't something, not even just drinking, like drinking, smoking, all of that stuff, going out, it became something that we ended up doing, but we were still dwelling in sadness. Like it started off as something fun, something we enjoyed doing as a group, and then after a while our group wasn't even a group anymore. We ended up doing it on our own. You know, you just do it. It became like a coping mechanism to most of us. Like you just drink when you're sad, you drink when you're happy, you drink when you're depressed, you drink when you're down. Like it just ended up being you just drunk most of the time. Like there was, I feel like, I don't know about Rivka, but for myself, I feel like I was drunk more than I was sober.
Was there a point in all of this when you thought life has to be more than this?
Definitely, but not necessarily made me change. I think my point where I thought about this is the fact that it was a point where my sister China was actually going to church, and I would just go so we could go home together after work, and then I would still be like messing up. Like my life was just not progressing in the way that I wanted it to, and just seeing how her life was kind of changing, you'd think it would also allow me to change, but I think that's the point where I realized like there's got to be more to this. And the fact that I feel like I was leading two different lives, where one, on the outside I look so perfect, like I molded myself in a way where it's like you're never gonna see what's actually going on the inside. And the fact that, you know, a past relationship was still like the person was still in my life, and I just really thought low of myself. Like I was kind of pathetic at that point, but I still didn't change it because it was like I knew there was more, but I just didn't know how to get there.
Yeah,
honestly.
same. Honestly, like I think for me also it was kind of the same thing. Like the whole idea of like it's like juggling two lives, and it was very, very tough because it's like it wasn't like we stopped going to church during that time. We did. I think half the time we went to church the day after we were getting late. Like, and it was just really bad, and it was like you had to put up a front that you didn't necessarily want, and it's just like you doing things that you don't even want to do anymore, and you weren't happy doing it, but it was like you've already done it, so now you just continue doing it, and it was just getting sad and like depressed.
When and how did things change for you?
Things changed for me actually when I went to a beautiful job camp in 2019, and I actually had no intentions of going to this camp at all. The day before that camp I was actually lit, and the day of the camp I was completely hungover, and I didn't even necessarily know about the camp or the fact that it was happening because I didn't go to First Love like that. Like I used to drop by because my sisters went to First Love and they went to church and all that kind of stuff. And I used to always tell Reverend Christian that I was not going to join this church. Like it just was not my plan. I didn't want to do it. And I had no shy about telling him. I was just like, it's not going to happen. I don't want to be here. And it wasn't something that I desired to do. But that day of the camp, one of the shepherds at First Love actually came to my house and practically like dragged me out and was like, yeah, you know, we have to go and all this kind of stuff. And I kind of just gave in for the sake of giving in. I was like, okay, we're just gonna go spend a couple of days in the absolute wild whatever we were doing, and we're just gonna come back. I didn't think I was gonna change about anything. Like that was kind of it. But I had like an amazing encounter with God, and I just like will never forget it because it was a time where I really realized the best time to honestly do something for God was in my youth, and it was honestly like an amazing experience, and I cannot thank like God enough for it because I learned so much, and it was like something that I like really surprised me because I didn't think that like being a Christian or doing work for God was something that could even be remotely interesting or be remotely something that I would even consider. But even me just being there and just being attentive and just having that encounter with God, it really changed how I thought about everything after that camp.
Yeah, so mine was also at a camp, but it was a different camp. It was one of the camps we had at church, and it was called Privileged. So I think it was the first day that we actually had it. I also had no intentions of going. I was already part of the church, but I just refused to be a part of anything. Like I wouldn't sing, I wouldn't dance, I just didn't want to do anything. But I came to the camp anyways, and that first day in the morning when we had the service, I think that morning just really, I don't know, like I just feel like I had such a beautiful encounter with God that morning, and that was the day that I decided to try with God, because in my mind I've already tried life without him, so it couldn't hurt to try life with Christ, because I did it before without him and I was really struggling. So making that decision that morning to choose God and to continue choosing him no matter what, that was really my changing point. And I think even after the camp, I had a time where I was really starting to struggle in my spirituality, and I remember Reverend Chris actually told me to make a promise to God that I wouldn't give up, and I made the promise, and here I am.
Do you think giving your life to Christ at your age matters? And if so, why?
It honestly does, because like when you're young, you have so much energy to do so much, and like the older you get, the less like energy you have, and the less time you actually feel that you have to do anything. Being young gives you the ability to actually like be flexible in what you do, and actually like kind of try everything and do so much more, because you do have that time. And it's like when you try to do something when you're older, everything just feels like a hassle.
I agree with that. I think it's very important to do it when you're young, because like, just say now, we're not married, we don't have so much obligations, so it's easier for us to make time for Christ, you know, make time to go outreaching, make time for prayer, make time for just the things that are not going to add up later. So I think just even knowing Christ now, I think when we are older, when we get to that point, it's going to be a lot easier, you know, because right now it's the time to struggle, honestly. Like, with everything we do at church, now is the time to struggle, but we're still young, so you always have motivation, you know, we still are energized, like Rivka said. So I think it's very, very important for us that we're doing it now.
And I know for a fact that if I was not to have like given myself to Christ right now, like I would have just ended up like in a completely different place, like honestly from here on the other side of the world. Like, I know it wasn't going to be perfect. I would have been somewhere completely different. I would not have been in Sydney. I would not have been anywhere near my family. I would not have been able to have like such good relationships with most of my siblings. And that's all just thanks to God, because like I know I wouldn't have been able to do that by myself.
Honestly, it's been a process, and just knowing that we've chosen Christ now, like, and you can see the difference between us now and us before. So you can see the importance as to why it is, because we would have wasted our lives, and God knows where we would have been today.
What encouragement would you give to somebody your age who's lived a life that you lived?
To honestly just start now, to live a life for God, like right now, because the drinking is not going to make you happy. The going out and partying is not going to make you happy. The fornicating, trying to find love in different ways, is honestly not going to make you happy. And you're just going to be like sad and depressed afterwards and absolutely regret everything. And it's going to be a waste of time. And the longer you actually remain in that like point, the harder it's going to be for you to actually get out of it.
I also agree with Rivka. Like, I just feel like just do it now. There's no time like the present. There's no time to even be wasted. Like, what have you gotten out of doing all of this? Like, I think there's certain questions you need to ask yourself, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, is it bringing you happiness? Is it bringing you joy? Like, is it bringing you closer with your family? And even with yourself, like, are you happy with yourself? So, and actually one of our bishops from Ghana, he said to us, if not now, when? And I think that question has been literally just running around my mind for so long, because there's even some points where it's like, I'm tired, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to pray, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like, if not now, when? When am I going to have the time to do it? So I think that's something that's very important to think about.
So most definitely just do it. And honestly, I just want to like thank Bishop Dag for actually just giving me the opportunity to actually learn so much, because like if it wasn't for like the implementation of like camps in the First Love Church, I don't like the fact that we both were moved by those camps. It was just been like an absolute amazing experience. Like it has allowed us to learn so much. It has allowed us to like truly witness like how amazing God can be, and how much he actually really wants to work in the lives of young people. And it's a big step and a big change from like a lot of different people that I have encountered in my life who've, let's say, like said they were Christians, but it's like people all like, I've heard this a million times, people saying like, oh, you know, the youth are the next generation of the church and all this kind of stuff. But it's like nobody actually looks towards the youth for anything, or actually making sure that they're learning something or anything. But Bishop Dag has like literally given us books, he's given us camps, and he's sent out like pastors and reverends that help us in the process.
With that being said, like, I'd also like to thank Bishop Dag for all those reasons, and thank him especially for sending Reverend Chris to us in Australia. I feel like just without Reverend Chris, obviously our lives would have been like completely deteriorated at this point. We thank him just for being able to push us and put us in positions that we wouldn't have been able to do on our own. He's made us realize the importance of our Christianity, the importance of our spirituality, just the importance of the people around us, even like the fact that we both came to church, and I came first, but Rivka, I think her life changed before mine, and just because I had her around, I was also able to change, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if we were still doing what we were doing before. So Rev has really, really encouraged us to be the best versions of ourselves. He's encouraged us to join ministries that I would never have been doing. So I just really, really thank Reverend Christian for changing my life.
And it's like such an amazing experience that like First Love has become basically a family to us, and we really love this family so much, but it's a family that we always want to see get bigger. And that's why First Love Church is actually having a come home service, and it would be so amazing for you guys to actually come and experience how wonderful it is to have a church that you can call your home. God has really changed our lives, and we want him to be able to do the same for you, and it's not going to happen if you don't take that step and actually decide to come home.